Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our fourth Cultures United conversation of 2025. From our last conversation in September, we learned a lot about financial literacy. Our panel discussed how to access financial education remains a critical factor in creating pathways to upward mobility and long-term security. And they focus on issues that are happening in Orange County and what we can do to all help bring more financial literacy to the many people who want to live and thrive and be successful here. If you want to look at that conversation and learn more, please scroll down on the Cultures United webpage and click on Watch Our Past Conversation section. There are many, many ones to choose from. And today, it's kind of a nice flow from what we talked about last time, because we're going to talk about housing insecurity in Orange County. And at the extreme end of that is, of course, those folks that fall into homelessness, our unhoused neighbors. So we're going to talk with some experts on this really, really important conversation. Our goal for Cultures United has always been to help convene and coordinate and connect and just be a resource for our community on what's happening and how we can all help together. So let's again go to our conversation today about housing insecurity. Well, Orange County is often recognized, and rightfully so, for its beauty and success. Many, many people struggle every day here. They struggle to find stable, affordable housing because rising rents and limited housing supply have left many families and individuals one unexpected expense away from being unhoused. And put in perspective, nearly 1 out of 3 households struggle to afford rent or mortgage payments here in Orange County. And the effects of housing insecurity ripple through the community, impacting health, education, employment stability, and overall quality of life. So let's take a further look at that. Now on the screen, you'll see the cultural breakdown of our unhoused population. This was done from the most recent point in time count. I think it's just good for us all to know this kind of factual information that exists. And also key to know is that a large number of our senior population are falling into homelessness. Those on a fixed income with rising rent and other expenses needed to fulfill their small budgets. It's getting really hard to make sure that they can pay the rent. So something to keep in mind as well. Today, we are fortunate to have a panel of respected leaders from business and community all across Orange County who have a breadth of experience on this issue. They'll share insights, strategies, and discuss ways our community can come together to support those struggling with housing insecurity. For those of you joining us for the first time, we started Cultures United at the end of 2020 with the support of 3 amazing board members at the time, Martha Daniel, Ben Alvarado, and Tam Nguyen. And the goal was always to promote conversations, collaboration, philanthropy, and unity, that we are all in this together, Orange County. Of course, these conversations would not be possible without a sponsor. And so we are so thrilled to thank California Bank and Trust for their continued support of this program. So now let's take a moment and watch a very important message from California Bank and Trust.
Since 1952, California Bank and Trust has helped communities across the state grow and prosper. Our sponsorships are local investments in lives and businesses in the neighborhoods we serve. We further strengthen our communities through our impactful employee volunteerism. And we actively support initiatives that promote long-term community resilience. Join us in making a difference. At California Bank and Trust, we champion the people and businesses building California. Together, let's build a brighter tomorrow.
So thank you to everyone at California Bank and Trust for your support of Cultures United and all the great things that you do for our community. Okay, today's conversation will be led by Fred Zago, Senior Vice President, Greater Southern California, South Region Manager, California Bank and Trust. We are looking for the discussion he's going to be leading with our panelists. He's a trusted member of the California Bank and Trust family, as well as brings vast experience in the business and finance industry. And we are thrilled to have him with us today. Thank you so much for leading this conversation, Fred. Please take it away.
Thank you, Sue, and good morning to everyone. I'm honored to moderate today's conversation. As you mentioned, Sue, one of the things that is so great about Cultures United is that it is a forum where we have conversations about how all of us can live and work together. And thank you to everyone who is joining us today. I'm honored to be here to guide today's important and timely conversation on housing insecurity. As we will be discussing today, housing insecurity touches every corner of our community, from working families, seniors, to veterans. This morning's discussion brings together leaders who see this crisis from every angle. Together, we will be unpacking the current landscape of housing insecurity, as well as discussing what is possible when collaboration, compassion, and creativity come together to work toward everyone in Orange County having a place to call home. Over the next 40 minutes, we'll hear their insights on the challenges our county is facing with housing insecurity and the strategies that are working to help overcome them. So let's get started. Let's welcome our panel of distinguished guests. Joining us today, we have Lucy Dunn. She is CEO Emeritus of Orange County Business Council and former State Housing Director under Governor Schwarzenegger. Welcome, Lucy.
Thanks, Fred. Great to be here.
Next, joining us is Kim Murray. She's Executive Director, Association of California Cities, Orange County. Welcome, Kris.
Good morning, everybody.
And also joining us is Alejandro Santiago. He is the Community Engagement Manager, United to End Homelessness, Orange County United Way. Welcome, Alejandro.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get started. First question for all of you is if you could please tell us a little bit about yourself, what your organization does, and why you are here today to talk about housing and housing insecurity in Orange County. Let's start with Lucy.
Sure. So I recently retired from the Orange County Business Council after 16 years there as their CEO. And the top issues for businesses in the county continue to be a supply of housing for the workforce, infrastructure investment, you got to move people and goods, and workforce development, you got to train our people. But the number one issue was always housing. And so I continue to be a housing advocate now after retirement. And my roots started when I was the state housing director under Governor Schwarzenegger. So I've been here a long time advocating for an adequate housing supply, workforce housing at all levels, from CEO housing all the way down to folks with jobs that are just on the margin. And so this is very near and dear to my heart.
Great. Thank you, Lucy. Kris, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to join all of you. I have served as Executive Director of the Association of California Cities, Orange County, for a little more than 3 years now. ACCOC was formed in 2011 as a nonprofit to represent our city's county public agencies at all levels of government. One of our core issues is serving the homeless, those who are unhoused in our communities, as well as establishing quality workforce housing, as well as permanent supportive housing. So this, as Lucy mentioned, is very near and dear to our heart. Prior to ACCOC, I was actually a board member of the organization while I served on the Anaheim City Council as a former mayor pro tem and councilwoman representing the city at large from 2010 to 2018. Anaheim has taken a leadership role in providing permanent supportive housing as well as emergency shelters, much of which started during my tenure. And one of my key initiatives as a councilwoman was the entitlements and getting Bridges at Kramer Place, which was the county's first full service shelter, up and running by 2018. So very pleased to join you today. This is an incredibly important issue area for our communities countywide.
Great. Thank you, Kris. Alejandro, hello.
Hello. Just continuing what my fellow panelists were saying, it is a very important issue here in Orange County. Previously, I worked for the county and for the United States Congress. And in both of those roles, housing and homelessness and affordability was always a big issue. And I am part of the United Twin Homelessness team. There, we worked to educate our community about homelessness, to activate people with that knowledge that they gain. And then also we have programs to help people to get housed and remain housed. So very happy to be here to continue and to expand on what we just talked about.
Thank you. Thank you, Alejandro. Lucy, how did we end up with a housing shortage here in beautiful Orange County? Let's, if we can, take a step back and look at some of the root causes as to why housing insecurity even exists. What makes this issue in Orange County unique compared to other regions?
Well, it's a great question. And, folks talk all the time about affordable housing, but the root causes of our issue is we have a massive housing shortage. It's the core problem. Most economists estimate that the entire state of California is between 2 and 3.5 million homes short of what it needs. Demand has grown, but supply has just not kept up. And this is the foundation of our crisis. We haven't met our annual housing goals, our annual housing production numbers of about 180,000 homes per year since 2004. And we don't build enough housing because California's policies and housing approval systems from every level of government make it extremely hard, often impossible, for home builders to build. Because remember, the state doesn't generally build housing. We need home builders to do their job, to do what they're good at. The shortage is driven by restrictive local zoning processes, long discretionary approval processes. I worked on a project once where I counted 23 different federal, state, and local agencies that I had to work with. There's litigation risks, environmental risks, high construction costs, insufficient funding for affordable housing, which requires critical supportive services to make them work. Local fiscal incentives sometimes discourage housing, and of course, community opposition to projects. People tend to be afraid of change and newcomers. So community opposition is something we have to work with every day. It's not just one factor, though. It's really a systemic, multi-layered bottleneck that has taken decades to produce, and it's going to take a long time to reform. Now, what makes this unique to Orange County? Well, we're a desirable location to live, work, and play. Beautiful community, wonderful weather. The demand is strong to live here. We are also the economic engine. We're the jobs center for all of Southern California. Folks commute from every county to work here. In fact, Irvine doubles its population every day. Historically, we were the bedroom community of Los Angeles. Today, LA is our bedroom community. It really is kind of funny. In fact, all the communities, all of our counties around us send more people to work here than we send to them. It's fascinating. But that obviously, there's commuting issues, there's traffic issues, and it takes $47 an hour in wages just to afford a one-bedroom apartment in Orange County. $47 an hour. The median single-family home is $1.4 million versus $900,000 across the state. So it is a unique issue to Orange County because of our desirability, but it's exacerbated by major state issues, as you can see. It's going to take some time, but I think that's why we're all working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, some amazing statistics. Thank you, Lucy. Alejandro, a UCI poll, so this is now not so surprising, I guess. A UCI poll recently cited that over 53% of Orange County residents know someone who either has been unhoused or is currently unhoused. That's over half the county. Mm-hmm. Alejandro, what do you know about people who fall into homelessness in the OC?
Well, actually, we have a lot of information about this. So this is something that we know a lot about. And just talking a little bit about the UCI poll that you mentioned, this was a collaboration between United Way and UCI to learn a little bit more about what were what was the community thinking about? What were the major problems in Orange County? And what we heard from that survey, from that poll, is that a lot of people are just very concerned about housing affordability and about homelessness. Those were the top two issues that came up from that survey, among others. And both of them are interrelated, connected with each other. Housing affordability and homelessness are directly intertwined. What we also know from why people face homelessness is that it is really affordability. In Orange County, there is a little bit more surveys, the point in time count that counts people every 2 years, and that let us see a different picture about why people fall into homelessness. But then also there's another report that the county released a month ago, and it talks about why people fall through the safety net. And a lot of those, a lot of the information that came out from that is that just people have a lot of trouble with remaining housed because of high cost of living and the lack of affordable housing options. 78%, almost 80% of the respondents that talked about the factors that contributed to their homelessness, they said that it was financial. So it is a lot of that, and the story keeps repeating itself through the point in time count, through the county survey, through the UCI poll. We get to hear the same story, that a lot of people fall into homelessness because of financial factors, and that is a very concerning story that we get to see to the data that we have here in our county.
Great, thank you, Alejandro. For those of us that live in Orange County, I think we can attest to it is an expensive place. So thank you. Here's asking all of you here. Does anyone have a story to share about someone you know who has been impacted by housing insecurity? We can start with you, Kris.
Hi. And it's personal as well. It's my grandparents, and we see this with seniors. They passed away now, but several years ago they were struggling, and fortunately we had family who could come together and help. But because of health costs and lack of planning, just they ended up in a place where they weren't sure they could make the rent, and we're really struggling financially, and we wrapped around them and helped. But the fact is, we have way too many seniors who are struggling, especially when one spouse passes away and the other one is left without the resources they had prior to that. So seniors are one of our largest cohorts that's truly on that edge of being unhoused and or at risk. And we've got to keep an eye out for them. But far too many don't have immediate family resources to help.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing, Kris. Speaking for myself, seniors aren't really in that discussion much, it seems like to me. So thank you for that. Go ahead, Alejandro.
Yeah, building up on that, on our demographic with seniors, the Costa Mesa shelter, and when we really think of shelters, we think of them as a place where people go to so that they later get housing. But the Costa Mesa shelter, one of their biggest demographics are seniors, and they're there because they lost their housing, because most of the time seniors are on a fixed income, and as rent prices go up in Orange County, then they get pushed out of their units, and now at their age, it's really hard for them to get more income and to find a new apartment. So that is what we are seeing right now in our cities, that a lot of our seniors are experiencing homelessness because of there's just not enough affordable housing for seniors, and that is directly related to housing affordability.
Right. Thank you, Alejandro.
I have a little story, a kind of a personal story. I've never shared this before. One of my one of the things that I do, my little hobbies, is I sing in choral music groups, a community choir. And the beauty about music is that you have a variety of age groups, from very youngest to seniors. We're all singing, and it's, as long as you get the notes right, everybody loves everybody. It's really interesting community dynamic. But I learned in one of my groups that a friend of mine from singing was about to lose the one bedroom that he rented from another family, because the family sadly was selling their home, and he had no place to live. Young man, does not make a lot of money, and I'm sitting here as an empty nester, another senior, but a different side of the senior profile, where I've got a 3-bedroom house. My family's up north raising their own kids. And I thought, well, maybe I should think about, I mean, we weren't that close. We weren't, longtime friends, but just that I knew him from singing. And I offered a bedroom to come and rent at my home. And that is a young man with housing insecurity. But for my place here, he'd probably have to move back to another state and find something to live. So it is another interesting aspect of Orange County, because we're an aging population. And as a senior with a home that really should go to a younger family, but I have no place to move to. There's not enough supply out there for me to downsize with so many of the implications, taxes and personal and finance and stuff. But this was sort of my way to kind of walk the walk and help a friend, and know that it's far more personal than people realize. But we might think about, are there other seniors out there with bedrooms that might help this sadly growing population?
I do.
Wow, yeah.
If I may, I just want to tag along with
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
Lisa just said. Isolation is one of the biggest issues affecting our seniors, and where we can connect them with community is really going to help. And I want to give a little shout out to CalOptima and their PACE Center. It's the program for all-inclusive care for the elderly, but they will literally pick up and transport any resident over the age of 55, which actually now includes me. But you can get a ride to and from, but they provide, and they have on-site healthcare, psychological services, activities, a healthy meal, opportunity to play games, and just mix with seniors. And the way we need to be able to get out there and really communicate with our seniors, because they need that connection. I love Lucy's idea.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Lucy. And it's really just a great example of how those of us who are so blessed
Right.
can make an impact, right, in our own way. Whatever way that is, right? We don't all have to rent rooms, but there is some way that we can all impact.
Jump in and help. It's
Yep,
being creative.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
I do want to speak a little bit about something that Lucy mentioned, which was like the short notice that this person got.
Okay.
And that's a
Yes.
symptom that it's felt a lot, actually. The Falling Through the Safety Net survey showed that nearly 50% of the respondents that of this survey reported that they received less than a week prior to becoming homeless. So it was really short, and the majority of them were with family. So 1 week, they're selling their house, they want to renovate, they want to do whatever they want to do, and they just say, it's just, you have to move. And then they have 1 week to find a new apartment, to apply, to get their down payment ready, last month's rent, and usually that is maybe $6,000 that they have to drop in within a week. And that is really hard to do because most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So that is also like this specific happening that Lucy mentions that is actually happening a lot in our county.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, Alejandro, in my opinion, I think you just pointed out one of the root causes, right? Which is the time that people are given to move out. So thank you for adding that. Well, let's move on. Kris, the question for you, what are some of the most innovative and promising solutions you are seeing cities put in place to keep people housed and also provide more accessible housing?
Thank you, Fred. I'm really proud to share that ACCOC has been at this for quite some time, but we as an organization actually sponsored the legislation that created the Orange County Housing Finance Trust, which has worked to create nearly 2,700 units, many of which are coming online since 2019 till this year, 2025. But that was one way to share resources, coordinate with the county, bring in a mix of local, state, and federal resources to provide that level of permanent supportive housing. But in addition, our cities are working very well with some of our nonprofit providers. Jamboree Housing, one of the more recent facilities that opened under Jamboree was in coordination with San Juan Capistrano, where they were able to create a brand new city hall, but also create nearly 50 units of permanent supportive housing. A percentage of that is dedicated to veterans who are unhoused in our community. And that's another cohort we haven't really talked about today, but it's significant in our county. But across the county, we're working with nonprofit providers and having great success countywide. Anaheim and Santa Ana have been big leaders in advancing these solutions, both on the emergency frontline shelter services, but also creating dynamic, beautiful, integrated, permanent supportive housing. It does not look like a shelter. These are beautiful homes. And so one of the things we do at ACCOC through our housing committee is bring officials to these facilities so they can see that it is cost effective, that it does make a real difference in the lives of members of their community, and that it actually adds, it usually takes property that was in poor condition and renovates and creates an asset for these neighborhoods while also providing critical permanent supportive housing. The goal really is both prevention, outreach, and then creating that housing, because the housing first model is proven to work. We know it's a cost issue, an affordability issue, and where cities can team with builders and or nonprofit providers to make that possible, it's a win-win for absolutely everybody. We are also advocating strenuously at the regional, state, and federal levels of government for those critical resources, for that funding. And some of it's at risk right now, and we need to be mindful of that. So I know we're working actually with United Way, with Sue's team, to do a webinar on the impacts to continuum of care next month. And that'll be open to all of our officials and residents countywide to listen in and really hear about those impacts and lend their voice to protecting that critical funding.
Great, thank you. Alejandro, there are recent changes happening right now as it pertains to HUD. Can you share the current status? What can we do about this? How can we advocate for the people that are affected?
Yeah, there's a lot of changes happening at the federal level with HUD. One of them is that they are moving from housing first as a solution to homelessness. And that is something very important, because that means that there's going to be less funding coming our way for projects like the ones that we were mentioning. So what is the best thing that you and I and the audience can do? I think one of those things would be to focus a lot on your city, the city that you live in. There is a lot your city can do, and so it is important for you to know what's happening. One of the ways that you can do so is through learning about, what is your city doing, what is your city not doing. Learn a little bit more about zoning, learn a little bit more about what is their affordable housing projects. At United Way, we have classes that you can sign in. So at the end of this presentation, you're going to be hearing about 2 classes. You're going to get 2 links about the 2 classes that we have, and then we're also going to be sending you the links to the surveys and the reports that we have been talking about. But in those two classes, you get to learn really about homelessness as a whole. And then also you get to learn about advocacy, about how to talk to your elected representatives, what to say, how to engage with them, and things of those sorts. So there's a lot that you can do to advocate, and we're happy to be of assistance in that. So please take a look at those links.
Alejandro, for the viewers that are out there, could you just give a little bit more definition of the difference between the successful Housing First model that Orange County has great success with Housing First versus where the federal government is trying to go, increasing transitional shelters? Could you explain why Housing First is so important and effective?
Yeah, well, Housing First really takes a look at making sure that people get to reintegrate into our community when housing is first given. There's a lot of misconceptions about it. That's why the classes are really important, so that you get to learn a lot about the success rates and why it is very successful. But one of those things is because when you get housing, you get the stability to get a job. You get the stability to learn a skill. You get the stability to get your mental health resources that you need, and then you can continue to move on with your life. It's
You're not
really
moving from place. You're not moving from place to place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find a job while you are sleeping on the street, where you don't have access to internet, where you don't have access to resources that will help you write a resume, where you don't have that stability. I think your main objective while you are sleeping in the street is to eat, is to be safe, is to keep just keep yourself alive. That is the main concern at the time. So when you have a home where you can succeed, where you can be stable, that is that model. And currently the administration is moving away from that, where we have been doing a lot of progress. So that's why it is important for us to know what are those repercussions going to be. So I invite you to join that next webinar that we're going to have, so that you really get to see that it's not just a small change. It is changes that are going to be affecting a lot of us in our community.
Thanks.
Alejandro, and if I could add, you bring something up, and that's that housing insecurity is just not sleeping on the sidewalk, right? I mean, the fact that, it's not having that permanent place to call home, right? Mm-hmm. Feeling like you don't know, you may have a roof over your head, but you may not know where you're going to be tomorrow. And so that, when you think about the impact, right, it's much greater than just, maybe in Orange County, maybe the occasional actual unhoused person you see out in the streets. There's a lot more behind that going on in terms of just people not being secure in the housing that they have. Mm-hmm. So let's see where we are time-wise. I'll direct this question to both Lucy and Kris. Lucy, you can go first. If you could make one change, policy, mindset, or resource, just one, to move the needle on housing insecurity, what would it be?
It's supply for me. We've got to increase the supply overall of housing so we have choices. And so the one policy approval that I would love to see in place is to make housing approvals by right statewide for projects that meet zoning. So what this means is if a housing project complies with existing zoning, height limits, and objective standards, then cities must approve it automatically. No discretionary hearings, no additional environmental reviews, no subjective design changes, and no multi-year appeals or neighbor opposition can delay it. Just straightforward administrative approval, like pulling a building permit. Supply. Let's get those sticks in the ground.
Kris, asking you the same question. How would you move the needle?
We, in addition to the issues that and options that Lucy just laid out, which would help a lot in streamlining the delivery of new housing, we need litigation reform, CEQA reform, big time. because it definitely gives the NIMBYs, which are a very real constituency out there for city officials, a lot of leverage to fight projects. We even had CEQA lawsuits against Bridges at Kramer Place, our full service shelter. And, and the other is the mindset, this fear factor that having permanent supportive housing, emergency shelters in your communities is somehow going to degrade property values or communities, or somehow impact the unique aspects of a different community. In every instance we have seen in Orange County, it has elevated neighborhoods. It has improved communities. Even Bridges, there was so much fear when we were trying to entitle that land and get that project funded. Hundreds, actually thousands of people came to multiple hearings to protest. And now some of those loudest voices are the biggest proponents of that facility and say it's absolutely made a quality of life difference. So the mindset in getting rid of that fear factor, those who are unhoused in our communities are, they have jobs, they have families, or they're seniors and retired, or they're veterans. These are incredibly important, valued members of our community. They just need that place to call home, and we have to work together to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Kris, I want to stick with you. Sort of along a related topic, what are you hearing from cities about the anti-camping ordinances? How are cities handling this new tool, so to speak, quotes, with compassion and humanity?
I think compassion is that key word. Many of our cities are trying to take the onus off of law enforcement and really implement what are these care response teams, a more of a social service aspect for that outreach and navigation. Federal law still requires that you have beds to provide those who are not going to be living in some kind of transitional or on the streets in any capacity. So when you eliminate an encampment, you still have to find a safe place to house that person. And so there's been a lot of work to create shelters that have ongoing support, that co-locate veteran services, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, everything that an individual is going to need when they're trying to get back into a permanent housed status. And it's working effectively countywide. Some cities have more experience at it than others. Again, Anaheim, Santa Ana being among two with the largest populations historically. But Brea to Newport to South County are all working together. The smaller cities working in conjunction with each other to share resources. But it is about providing compassionate care and making sure that people are transitioned to a safe place, whether it's an emergency bed or whether it's permanent supportive housing.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
And actually, Fred, if I could just say, it is important. I know a lot of folks are concerned when the encampments are removed, but it is not safe for our residents to live in encampments. They are preyed upon. There is violence. There's, just the insecurity and lack of resources. So it's not a more humane approach for somebody to live on the street. We've got to provide these services and facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I can't even imagine. Yeah, thank you. Well, we do have a few questions from the audience. I think we'll go to there with respect to time. Thank you for submitting your questions. We may not have time to get to all of the questions that came in, but we'll try to answer as many as we can. So let's get started. The first question is for Alejandro. Can you tell us about a current program or two that is currently addressing this issue that you are finding to be effective?
Yeah, I want to highlight two. One of them is Project Home Key, specifically just because Kris mentioned collaboration. And collaboration is going to be very essential when we are looking to build and looking to address a big problem like it's homelessness. So the city of Newport and the city of Costa Mesa are both working together to remodel a motel in Costa Mesa so that it's going to bring a lot of units for people experiencing homelessness. So both cities are working together. In the next few years, we're going to be seeing a lot of units coming up online for people that are experiencing homelessness in both of those cities. So they're working together. Another that Kris mentioned was San Juan Capistrano. That was a really innovative project. I think it requires collaboration and innovation. Think outside the box, and their city hall, behind their city hall is like this great, amazing housing opportunity that they built. But then also there's a program that we have here at United to End Homelessness. Is called the Welcome Home OC. And what we do in this program is that we connect individuals and families that have housing vouchers with available rental units. So we cover moving expenses, we help with security deposits, with basic furnishings and supportive assistance, so that it is easier for them, for voucher holders, to find a unit in the general rental market. It's really hard for voucher holders to go to a unit and ask for one of them. It's hard because sometimes landlords don't want that. But we work in this incentive program to make it easier. And so that way we have been able to house more than 1,000 individuals since this program started. So it is always about thinking in an innovative way and always collaborating with partners across Orange County. And when you approach things that way, we get to see effective opportunities that are creating really positive change.
Thank you, Alejandro. And just to add, bless those landlords that actually do try to make a difference, right, by accepting the programs, and because there are some out there, and maybe we need to figure out ways to get more landlords involved and not be maybe even scared, right, about these programs. I think there is some fear out there in the community. I'm going to direct this one to everyone. California Bank and Trust puts high value on encouraging their employees to be aware of issues facing our regions and engaged in giving back. What are some ways you would recommend the business community could partner more effectively with nonprofits and local governments to help create long-term solutions? Are there examples of public-private collaborations that have worked well here or elsewhere that we can learn from? I think we touched on a couple of them earlier.
I'm happy to jump in on that. Yeah, we talked about the one in San Juan Capistrano, but there's just some real quality housing with National Core, which is a nonprofit builder, Jamboree Housing. Like you said, California Bank and Trust works with cities and collaborates with communities to create permanent supportive housing, working with our other agencies, the county, as well as folks like CalOptima. We can bring together and pool our resources to provide the critical care and services that are needed. I do want to, we've talked about seniors today, but veterans is another area of support that is just desperately needed. And there's a great example of permanent supportive housing focused entirely on veterans called Heroes Landing in Santa Ana that was done with Jamboree Housing. And it's a 75-unit permanent supportive housing. Veterans Affairs has an actual office there on site, as well as other federal and state agencies that can help our vets both find work placement, job training, as well as get the critical services they need to get on their feet and re-engage in their communities. So there's just some great examples out there where you can get creative and work with your cities and make some of these really special opportunities come to life.
Couple of good examples as well. Early on, first of all, California Bank and Trust rocks that they do this with their employees. Let me just give them shout out and kudos for that. To keep their employees educated and informed on their community is brilliant, and bravo. There have been several examples recently. Kris talked about the California Housing Finance Trust. There is also Orange County Housing Finance Trust. There's also an Orange County Housing Trust. And just a couple years ago, working in the community, Orange County Business Council pulled a group of business leaders together, and they jumped in with private investments to the Orange County Housing Trust, a private nonprofit, versus the government finance trust, a government partnership. And with a leadership grant from Disneyland Resorts of $5 million. And they helped build affordable housing, veterans housing in Anaheim, and actually throughout other parts of Orange County, leading on that effort. So actually business people, business companies stepped up and helped contribute with grants to the nonprofit that started a trend. It was a brilliant move, and really elevated the discussion on building housing for our workforce, our vets, what we need today. The other one that I would love folks to know is continue to invest in your nonprofits that are leading these efforts in housing and homelessness and housing insecurity. Keep information flowing. Also, ask your employees if they're willing to stand up and testify in their own communities. If a housing project is coming before their local city council, go down there, stand up and say yes. Please say yes to housing. Please say yes to these projects. It's hard to do that. It's scary, but it's effective. And we get a lot of folks saying no, but having several great leaders saying yes can make a big difference. And last but not least, these changes at the federal level are really critical. I read an article years ago that said 1 letter to your congressman counts as 10,000 voices. Please write your congressman and say Housing First works. We got the performance metrics here. And so in the business community, thank you so much, California Bank and Trust. Keep those employees going. Write those letters to your Congress folks and let them know we have a track record of success here. Let's not mess with success.
Thank you, Lucy, and thank you for the kind words directed towards California Bank and Trust. I'm actually working on lining up the financing for a low-income housing project this week, so
Bravo.
Very timely.
That's awesome.
Here in Orange County. Alejandro, did you have anything to share?
Yeah, I do want to speak of the of what we do at United to End Homelessness, because it really touches on what both of my fellow panelists said. With United Way and United to End Homelessness, we really want to make sure that people feel activated and motivated to speak on behalf of housing solutions. And so I encourage and welcome California Bank to have their employees learn about homelessness and advocacy. And whoever else is listening, you can send me an email, and I'm happy to go teach a class to you and expand a little bit about homelessness and the things that you can do. But one of the things that we do is we do that education in hopes that there is action on that education. So just what Lucy said, it is important for you to write to your member of Congress. And we, in the past, just last month, we sent almost 1,000 letters to our members of Congress, specifically for the HUD changes. So it is a really important tool that we make it easy for you to do. So we have the templates for you to write down what is important. So connect with us so that you can learn how to do that. But then also, just like Lucy mentioned, sometimes it's really hard for people to go and speak to their city council. It may be terrifying. You might just be one of those people that don't like public speaking. So there are different ways that you can engage, just like sending a letter, maybe writing an email, maybe a phone call if you don't want to go in front of them. And those are things that I can share with you how to be confident in doing that. So please connect with us so that you can learn a little bit more about how you can use your voice to advocate for housing solutions.
That's great.
Thank you for the offer, Alejandro. I personally will circle back with you. We can talk about how we can do some of what you were talking about. So thank you.
Excited.
Here, I'll stick with you, Alejandro. I want to direct this to all of you, but you can go first, Alejandro. To wrap up our time, what's one hopeful message, right? that you'd like to share with Orange County about housing insecurity?
Well, everywhere I go to speak, I feel like everybody agrees with the notion, but then also because we feel it, that it is very expensive to live in Orange County. And when you feel that problem very personal, you're open to listening more. So with homelessness, it's really important to really understand that it is an issue that affects a lot of us in our county, and it affects our neighbors. So I have a lot of hope when I go out and I hear the message really resonating with people, because when our minds and our perspectives change, then the solutions are just more easy to get enacted. So that's why it is very important that when a conversation about homelessness reaches you, which it inevitably will, that you have the tools to respond, to engage with that person that you're talking to and say, hey, you know what? A lot of the individuals experiencing homelessness in Orange County are from Orange County. And one of the big factors is housing affordability. We just don't have enough of it. And that really changes perspectives and makes the hurdles in getting into more of that affordable housing less of them as we continue all to learn more about it. So I am hopeful for our community to continue to learn and expand our knowledge and really activate on that.
Kris, hopeful.
Thank you, Fred. And also thank you to California Bank and Trust for all that you do. I want to share Lucy's message of you guys rock, and we need more of you out there helping us. So thank you. With ACCOC and your cities in general, our emphasis, our focus is on education, policy, and advocacy, and bringing our voices, our collective voices, in a meaningful way to all levels of government to really get the message out there. We need more housing. We need more affordable housing. We've got to get this done. We can be creative and collaborative by working together between the business community and your cities to get these sticks in the ground and build the critical housing that's needed. But it's essential we work together, and we need your voices. Your elected officials get a lot of people who don't want more housing and or don't want density of housing, which some of our communities need to build. Your voice matters. So whether it's in writing, and an email, as Alejandro said, a phone call, or most importantly, being one of those supportive voices in the audience when the approval, actions are coming forward, be there and be present because you will make a difference, and it does. Every single person can truly make a difference in this effort.
Thank you, Kris. And these projects are absolutely beautiful, in my opinion.
They're beautiful.
Yes, they are.
So come join us on any of our programs. We'll take you out to see them in person. We'll even give you lunch.
There you go.
I want more people to see these projects because they really are beautiful.
Lucy, take us home.
Oh, how amazing. So housing insecurity. Can you just imagine yourself? You're sitting in your home, you're sitting in your bedroom, and you're not sure where you're going to sleep the next night. Housing insecurity just gives me shivers. It's so scary because you're housed, but you're not sure where you're going to be housed, right? I love this conversation. I think we're raising a really terrific issue. We're working on homelessness. We're working on supply. Housing insecurity is one of those things that is just caught up in the middle. But I want to end with the three comments that started at the beginning: collaboration, compassion, and creativity. Gosh, I just love those three words that we started with. When you think about Orange County, there's nothing that rhymes with orange. We are unique in the world. We don't have a metropolitan capital city. We require 34 elected officials, 34 cities to work together to get stuff done. But we set a standard. We set a standard for excellence and performance metrics that work. So my message of hope is continue working with government, your business community, your nonprofit community. Listen to the great United Way, and they've got that. I've said it over and over again. They've got a track record of success, And we need to get that message out that it works here. You can learn from us. Let's keep going. Compassion, collaboration, creativity. That's it.
I love it.
County rocks, and we will do better.
That was a wrap. Wow.
Well said, everyone. I want to thank each of you for being here today and being a part of this Culture United conversation. That's fantastic. Again, thank you, Alejandro, Lucy, Kris. Now, I'd like to bring Sue Parks back up to help us close out our program.
All I'll say is, wow, that was a fantastic conversation, everyone. So thank you so much, Kris and Lucy and Alejandro, for being on the panel. Fred, you rocked it as our moderator, as does California Bank and Trust for all their support. I'm just going to say I love the message of compassion, collaboration, and creativity. I'd love everybody to learn more about this topic. You can see it's such an amazing opportunity for all of us to be united together to do what's right for the people of Orange County. So I'm excited to continue this conversation. And please take us up on the offer that Alejandro said, is learn more. United 10 Homelessness has a lot of information. Email us and let us know if you want to get involved in some way. We're happy to help in your journey here. But anyway, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Fred, do you have any closing remarks before I wrap up?
Well, I just want to say, you know, I think the common theme is we can all make a difference. And I want to say, Lucy, I'm not going to forget your story. You know, thank you for sharing your personal story, you know, renting your room to this young gentleman. That just was so impactful. And it's just a great example of how, you know, we can all make a difference in different ways, right? I mean, you know, I'm helping lining up some financing for housing. You know, Lucy's renting a room. You can volunteer some time at a food at a shelter or a food bank. So just figure out a way that you can help, because we all make a difference and we all can make a difference. So I just again just want to thank everyone for sharing and providing lots of just insightful information on this topic.
Well, I'll just end by saying, I think what you're all saying is we should all be united for, so I see my for Orange County, right? Everybody, united for Orange County. We're all in it together. Thank you, amazing panel. Thanks for sharing your time this morning. Thank you, audience. And we'll say, be kind to one another until we meet again. Thank you.
Thanks.